It's time for the grand final of the Strong Style Women's World Cup as we look to crown the first ever champion of the world. We also prepare ourselves for the upcoming Strong Style Showdown, the most important tournament in the history of the men's division, but our plans to bring in a global superstar are potentially scuppered when Tony Khan and AEW have other ideas for the future of Seth Rollins. But is it time to fight fire with fire and go all out to make the biggest signing we've ever made? But before we get there, be sure to drop a like on the video and help us get to 400 likes to unlock the next episode. Head over to Patreon where you can gain access to the save file from the series to play along yourself, and head to TEWDB.com and buy TEW 9 using the banner at the top of the site if you haven't already done so. And we're back in the save then, and it's time to follow up from where we finished off last time, which was the Strong Style Women's World Cup Night 3 event, which saw Mayu Iwatani and Becky Quinn advance from their respective groups through to the grand final, which will happen at Strong Style 38 in the first show of this episode. Now, what I've done off camera is created the Strong Style Women's World Cup, and now that we are medium size, whenever we create a new major or primary level title, we now get 70 prestige, so that's pretty good for the first time around for the tournament. And in comparison to the other tournaments that we've got, it's slightly behind the Strong Style Showdown, which is 74 prestige, and actually the Strong Style Roulette is currently our most prestigious tournament with 76, which I didn't expect, but there we are. And maybe the Showdown will overtake the Roulette once it has an equal amount of finals. But in any case, we are working with the Strong Style Women's World Cup today, and there's nothing I need to do before we get into the show itself, so we may as well just skip forward. Right, so we are on the day of the show then, and we do have an email regarding Bojack, who we recently asked to change his body type, and he's now average, which should have seen an increase in his star quality, so let's quickly check that. Yeah, you can see there he was 47 star quality, and now he's 50. And I think we're also waiting on Levaniel as well. And also Eric Hammer, the current heavyweight champion, has entered the final month of his contract, so that's something that we're going to sort out later in the episode. But for now, we're on the day of the show, and let's skip forward to tonight and get straight into it. And nobody will be getting the night off tonight, and for venue, we're actually expecting 15,080 fans in the building, which I think is a record. So let's up the filter and go to 14 to 16 and see what we're working with. Ideally, we can get something that's in Texas. And there are a couple of options, and there's the Dickies Arena, which is 14,000 capacity, and I think that's the biggest building we've ran before. But instead, we're actually going to go to a new venue, the United Supermarkets Arena, and this one is in West Texas and holds 15,300 people. So we will have to outperform our expected attendance in order to sell it out. But let me take a look at the history of the building in terms of wrestling. And the arena is in Lubbock, Texas, and I followed the tutorial of how to pronounce it this time. And as I say, it is in West Texas and is the home of the Texas Tech Reds Raiders, which is the local university's sports teams. And in terms of wrestling, WWE have held many events in this building, including SmackDown in 2005, as well as Raw in 2006. And it's also been somewhat of a WWE house show stronghold in West Texas since the early 2010s. And tonight, Strong Style Americas will hold the greatest event that's ever took place in this arena. So let's go with it then and select this venue, and hopefully we can try and sell it out if we can outperform our expectations. And of course, we're going to use all of our broadcasters. And for booking team meeting, we're actually down a team member today because Dave Prazak is at Ring of Honor. And of course, in the last episode, you might remember that we had to kind of mix up the schedule in order to get in Steph DeLanda because she didn't sign her contract in time for what we did have scheduled originally. So we do have 178 creative energy nonetheless, so we may as well try and get some creative finishes, and that one's a safe bet, and this one's a big gamble, so we're going to discard that one, and we'll also get an angle idea as well, and this one's near certainty, so I think we're going to use that for our opening angle, which we'll see the commentators kind of break down the scene for the night. So let's continue though to locker room incidents, as LJ Cleary has been training with Lilian Roman and Brent Backlund, which is great to see. Shinsuke Nakamura entertained the locker room by organising a poker tournament. So big up the King of Strong Style, and that's everything for incidents. As for addressing the locker room then, I think we're going to do some more meddling, and we do have some hostility still between Natty Neidhart and AJ Mendez. So we're going to try and double down on that and try and get things smoothed out between the two, or we could potentially try and speak to CM Punk and Kevin Blackwood again, but that hasn't developed to a notable relationship yet after they had a disagreement in the last episode. But I think we're going to go with AJ and Natty for now. And yeah, we'll see if that ever takes effect. It probably won't, because it does say that it's unlikely to. But in any case, as I say, we are missing Dave Prazak and Marshall Von Erich, who are both at Ring of Honor. And I think there was somebody else that was supposed to be missing for Ring of Honor, but they're with us instead, as Ring of Honor chose to not use them. But anyway, let me book the show and I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, so as always, we've got somebody that's unhappy with their result tonight, but nonetheless, we're going to push through and hopefully we've got a good show despite that. And it won't affect the rating, but it will, of course, affect their morale. And we'll take a look at that person after the show. But let's first get into what's going to be happening on tonight's card, as we open up with two dark matches. First with Kevin Blackwood taking on Matt Sydal, who's here on a one-night deal, before we go to a tag team match as Viano Free Jr. and Shun Skywalker once again team up to take on Egil Blanc and Myung Jae Lee. We then open up the main show with the commentary breakdown of tonight's action, and more specifically the Women's World Cup final, which will main event tonight's show between Becky Quinn and Mayu Iwatani, and how they got there. And then we open up the action on the broadcast with a heavyweight match between Yuma Ayagi and Matt Riddle, and this will act as our technical masterclass before we go to a match between all of the women that ended the group stage with 0 points, as what we're going to call the redemption match, as we see Kira versus Lalaine Roman versus Christy Janes. So we've got Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Brazil there. Then we go to a match which will see Miranda Elise appear on the main card for the first time this tour, and she has been securing some dark match wins, but now she takes on Natty Neidhart of Canada. And Elise does feel like she should have been representing the United States in this tournament, and her complaints on social media have led to this match. And then we go to Steph DeLander taking on Lei Ying Lee in what is a cross-group match, as of course Lei Ying Lee ended on 4 points in Group B, while Steph DeLander finished on 3 points in Group A after replacing Jessica Troy as the representative of Australia on the final show of the group stage. And then we go to some post-match scenes, and I'm sure you can imagine what's going to happen there, before we go back to men's action as Malachi Black takes on Ryan Davidson in the heavyweight division. So both of our men's matches tonight are in the heavyweight division, before we go to Hyan versus B. Priestley. Now, B. Priestley ended on 3 points in Group A, and Hyan ended on 3 points in Group B. And then we go to an interesting tag match as the top women of Group A that didn't qualify, so second and third, that being Janai Kai and Killer Kelly, will team up to take on Masha Slamovich and Nixon Newell, both of whom ended on 6 points in their respective groups. So Masha Slamovich ended on 6 points in Group A, and Nixon Newell ended on 6 points in Group B. And yeah, we've just got an interesting tag match here, which we'll see Kelly and Kai, the longtime rivals, teaming up for the first time ever. And I'm secretly hoping there's a little bit of chemistry there, and maybe for the long term that could be something that we revisit if there is. But for now, of course, they are bitter enemies, and they did end the group stage with a draw against each other. So yeah, we'll see how that goes tonight though, and that will take us nicely into tonight's Women's World Cup final, which will see Ireland's Becky Quinn take on Japan's Mayu Iwatani with the huge trophy on the line. And then we end the show with the trophy celebration. But let's get into it then and find out how we get on, and I'm hoping for a solid card tonight, barring too much damage done by the production penalties. But let's get into it and see what we do then. And we open up with the dark match between Kevin Blackwood and Matt Sydal, as Kevin Blackwood secures the win, of course, in 5 minutes 05 by pinfall with a running knee strike. Titanic. And a 73 performance here from Kevin Blackwood is solid, and Matt Seidel there with a 46. And Seidel was rusty, which is fine, it is only a dark match, but we did get a 59 overall, which is a good way to start things off. And then we go to a really impressive 81 dark match this time, as Viano Free Jr. and Shun Skywalker defeated Egil Blanc and Myung Jae Lee in 9 minutes 33, when Shun Skywalker pinned Egil Blanc, using the ropes, of course, for leverage. And yeah, really good performances here from the villains, I guess we'll call them, as Shun Skywalker got an 84 and Viano there with an 82, and Myung Jae Lee got a 52 and Egil Blanc got a 58, so decent enough from them, the two propaganda guys. And Shun once again benefited from a hot new move, and yeah, we go into the main show, and hopefully some of the main card matches can match this kind of rating. And yeah, we probably should have put this on the main card in all fairness, but nonetheless we do open up with a hell of a promo which got an 87 rating, as the commentary team introduce the show and break down Mayu Iwatani and Becky Quinn's path to the Strong Style Women's World Cup final. Tonight we will see Japan take on Ireland, but the match is worth even more than that. The winner will secure themselves not only the trophy, but a shot at Jordan Grace's Strong Style Women's Championship at Strong Style 60 with a win tonight. It is confirmed that whilst Mayu is guaranteed a title shot at some point thanks to her win over the champion last night, will mean it will happen on the biggest show the company has ever seen. The champion will be at ringside during tonight's main event, but she has been told that she's not allowed to put her hands on any of the participants at any point tonight. And yeah, we got a really good promo here. As I say, the angle idea that we used was a success, and this was, I think, likely to succeed. And we've also got a near certainty on the final angle of the show as well. So with this one succeeding, hopefully that one definitely does as well. And we've got some good improvisation here from Brent and CM Punk. And Punk once again benefited from a hot new catchphrase as well. So yeah, good to see. An 87 I think might be our best ever angle as we prepare the fans for tonight's main event. But let's continue on then to a not so impressive match, as we've got 65 overall. And apparently the technical masterclass was in the wrong place, and apparently the crowd was already rowdy, which is fair enough, but still a decent rating and a big win for Yuma Ayagi, who's defeated Matt Riddle clean by pinfall in 15 minutes 17. And I said in the last episode that everybody has a finisher now, but apparently Yuma Ayagi hasn't got a pinfall finisher, so I'm going to have to definitely check that. But in any case, he got a 68 overall and Matt Riddle got a 65, as a new storyline has started, which is called the International Megastar. And this is basically going to see Yuma Ayagi take on stars from around the world, and we're basically trying to build them up to the main event level, because I really do see him as the future star of the heavyweight division, but how fast we can get him there is a different story. Basically, we just need him to get a bunch of wins over people that are more popular than him, and yeah, we're going to try and do that through loans and various one-off appearances, and probably not so much against our own roster, but yeah, he will be taking on stars from around the world, and tonight, Matt Riddle is the first of those. And yeah, 65 overall, not too bad at all, and hopefully this should see a boost in Yuma Ayagi's popularity. And next up though, we go to what I was expecting to be the worst match of the night, and it looks like that might be the case unless some of the other matches massively disappoint. But in any case, we've got a 48 overall, as Kira has managed to secure her first ever Strong Style Americas win by defeating Laline Roman and Christy Janes in 11 minutes 05 when she pinned Laline with Angel's Wings. And apparently Kira carried the match as well, so we've definitely picked the right winner. And she did actually pull off some good performances in the Women's World Cup. And yeah, we've rewarded her a little bit tonight, giving her her first win, as I say, after finishing with no points. But unfortunately, it was just luck of the draw for her. And yeah, 56 overall, and Laline with a 27, and Christy Janes with a 31. As at this point, all three of these women will be leaving the company. But we'll see about potentially bringing Kira back at some point as a luchadora on the roster. But yeah, as I say, we'll see. And she is currently in AAA, so I don't know if Big Lucha would be too happy about her sticking around for the long term. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And she is getting better at her gimmick in this 48 rated match. But let's move on then to a 61 rated match this time, as Miranda Elise has defeated the veteran Natty Neidhart in 13 minutes 51 by submission with a Miranda's rights. The winning streak now of Miranda Elise, despite a lot of them being dark matches, continues as we try and build her up once again. as a strong competitor in the women's division, as a former strong style women's champion. And yeah, 61 here for Natty, so we didn't actually pick the right winner in terms of performance, but Miranda was off her game, securing a 54. So yeah, I was expecting better, but yeah, she got a red there, which obviously didn't help, and she just wasn't with it tonight, but nonetheless, a decent match with a 61. And we continue on then to the next one, which also got a 61, as Steph DeLander has defeated Lei Ying Li in this cross-group match in 12 minutes 13 using a handful of tights. So yeah, a heel move here from Steph, but once again, she manages to prove that she may be the best Australian women's wrestler in the world right now, at least that we're able to sign, and did something once again that Jessica Troy was unable to do with her broken ribs in the Women's World Cup in the 2 matches that she had. And yeah, Troy got 2 losses and Steph now has 2 wins in the company, as Steph DeLander got a 58 as well, overall performance, so really good. So yeah, solid there from her, and Lei Ying Li got a 50, so we've definitely picked the right winner tonight. And Steph will be sticking around for a little while, as we covered recently in the last episode, and yeah, we've rewarded her with another win over somebody that will be leaving the company after this tour. And Steph there is getting better. Her gimmick and a 61 overall, as I say, is solid. But then we go back to an angle this time, as Steph DeLander celebrates with the Australian flag held high before she's suddenly clotheslined from behind by a hooded woman who runs through the crowd holding her ribs. Now I wonder who that could be. The woman then takes down her hood and reveals herself to be Jessica Troy, who is here against doctor's orders. The referee tries to block Troy from getting to Steph and tries to reason with her, but Troy breaks through as DeLander manages to escape. The 2 women continue to scream at each other as Troy spots the flag on the floor before wrapping it around her shoulders, furious with Steph's past claims that she let her country down. And yeah, the Valiant Fight storyline has advanced with this segment but lost heat unfortunately with this 40 rated segment, but I'm sure this will continue to build up as we go forward. And yeah, a nice little mid-card feud continues here, and I'm quite happy with how this is going despite losing heat. But in any case, we then go back to some men's action, this time for the second time on the main card at least, as Malachi Black has defeated former strong style heavyweight champion Ryan Davidson in 13 minutes 15 by pinfall with a black mass. And yeah, we're just trying to build Black up a little bit here before I think Ryan Davidson enters what would probably be his final rodeo at some point, and I think we're going to turn that into a storyline, and I have an idea for an opponent for him as well. In any case, Malachi Black is a fresh name and secured the win tonight with a 60. And overall a 69, which is very nice for this segment. But let's move on then as we go to more women's action, as we see Hyan from Group B take on Group A's B Priestley, with both of them finishing on 3 points as we covered before. And this time Hyan has managed to pick up a win over the departing B Priestley in 11 minutes 03 with a beauty sleep. And yeah, simple logic behind this one. Hyan is our talent, B Priestley is leaving, so yeah, why not give Hyan a win as B leaves the company. And overall, it looks like we've picked the right winner with 59 here for Hyan and 49 for B Priestley, but she was off her game apparently, so that might explain it. Hyan does have a gimmick that's getting stale, so we might have to tweak that, but B is getting better at her gimmick, but unfortunately we're not going to see the fruits of that since she's going to be leaving, as I say. But overall, a 62 is solid. Before we go into a hell of a tag team match, as we get 70 this time, so we're back up to where we need to be, and I think with the opening segment, which was 87 or whatever it was, and this match and a good main event should set us up for a decent show rating, and hopefully we can finally improve in the Mid-South, which we haven't done in about a month. But yeah, in any case, we do see Killer Kelly and Janai Kai defeat Masha Slamovich and Nixon Newell, as Janai Kai has pinned Nixon Newell with a spinning roundhouse kick. And yeah, I just kind of imagine a lot of dissension between Killer Kelly and Janai Kai, with them kind of tagging themselves in against the will of their partners and trying to basically one-up each other. And yeah, they have managed to get the win tonight, the 2 former women's champions, over the departing, at least for now, Masha Slamovich and Nixon Newell. Again, similar logic to Hyan and B Priestley. But we did see a 61 rating here for Janai Kai, with Killer Kelly, the woman of the match, with a 72, and Masha Slamovich with a 57, so not too far behind Kai, and Nixon Newell there with a 49. And unfortunately though, we did see a lack of chemistry between Slamovich and Newell, which did damage the rating, but still pretty good. And if that wasn't there, we might have seen sort of a 74, 75 rated match here. But nonetheless, I'm still happy with it, as yeah, we go forward into what is the Women's World Cup final between Mayu Iwatani and Becky Quinn, and securing the big victory tonight, and now lifts the Women's World Cup trophy, is Mayu Iwatani after defeating Becky Quinn in 14 minutes 35 by pinfall with a bridging dragon suplex. And funnily enough, we did say before that somebody was unhappy about losing tonight, and it wasn't Becky Quinn. She does have an attribute that means she's happy to put people over. It was actually Matt Riddle. So I thought I'd just quickly mention that. But we do see Mayu Iwatani lift the Strong Style Women's World Cup with an 82 performance. And by far right now, she is the standout of the women's division and fully deserves this trophy as we continue to build her up to be a real force in the women's division. And yeah, a win over Becky Quinn tonight, the most popular wrestler I think the women's division has ever seen, and this will do wonders hopefully for Mayu Iwatani's popularity, getting the win over Quinn tonight. And yeah, 63 rating here for Becky Quinn, so not too bad, but she is still rusty, and maybe we can bring her back for another tour at some point in the future, and maybe we could bring her in for an important match at Strong Style 60, but we'll see how it goes. But the next tour will be the Strong Style Showdown, so that will mostly be male action. But yeah, the creative finish that we used was a success, which definitely helped, but Mayu was off her game, so imagine what sort of rating she would have got if she wasn't. And yeah, 2 red notes here, but still an 81 performance overall is really good. And that takes us into, wow, the final angle of the night as Mayu Iwatani celebrates her win over Becky Quinn in what can only be described as the biggest victory since joining Strong Style Americas. Tears run down her face as she's presented with the Women's World Cup trophy by CM Punk. Punk then pulls out a microphone and asks Mayu to sum up her feelings after her huge win tonight, before he then calls for Jordynne Grace to join them in the ring, who climbs in with her title draped over her shoulder. Punk confirms the news that Strong Style 60 will feature the Strong Style Women's Championship match between Jordynne Grace and Mayu Iwatani. He then poses the question to Grace, can Mayu be the one to stop the Juggernaut's reign as champion? Jordynne then says, Mayu, last night you beat me fair and square, but there's a difference between one lucky win and calling yourself champion. You've got heart, you've got fire, but at Strong Style 60, you're walking into a fight with the strongest woman in the world, and you can't break me twice. Both women then step forward as CM Punk steps back as they go face to face as things get serious. Both women look locked in and ready for war. And this is how we end Strong Style 58 with the Juggernaut and the Icon face to face, a preview of things to come at our biggest show in company history. And it should be a hell of a match, hopefully, if all things go our way, including creative finishes and them both being on their game for the night. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how we get on with this one, and it's very much a contender for the main event of one of the nights, if not night 2. But yeah, the Who Can Stop the Juggernaut storyline has advanced and of course gained heat with a 91 segment rating, which I think is, for the second time tonight, a broken record. And yes, CM Punk looked good, Mayu Iwatani improvised well, and yes, worth noting as well, this was off the script, and yeah, no reds in that regard, so that's really good to see that Jordynne Grace and Mayu Iwatani can hold their own in that environment alongside CM Punk. And yeah, Jordynne Grace is getting better at her new gimmick as well, which is good, and I think that was already great, and the angle idea was a success as well, which no doubt helped. But let's find out how we did overall in terms of show rating then, as we got a 72. Okay, so that's a little bit disappointing to be fair. And I was kind of hoping for high 70s at least, with a 91 trophy celebration and 87 commentary breakdown. But yeah, I guess that the action itself didn't really hold up across the board, although there was a couple of standout matches with the tag match and of course the Women's World Cup final. But yeah, I'll take it, and we have increased our popularity in 45 regions, and we'll know in a second if it was a success, if we increased in any regions. But let's first address the locker room, as I want to praise Mayu Iwatani. I want to praise Killer Kelly as well, who really stood out once again tonight. And I'm going to praise as well Jordynne Grace, who did well for the promo at the end. So we're going to say great performance all round. And Mayu was happy with the speech, so she's had a boost in morale. So has Killer Kelly, and Jordynne Grace hasn't, and she just seemed pleased. And for profit, I think that's a record once again for profit for one night, as we brought in just over $300,000. And yeah, I did see the attendance before, and it wasn't quite a sellout, so we would have made even more money if it was. And I think that was just down to the production, as well as, of course, the kind of average mid-card of the show, which brought the show rating down and therefore brought the attendance down. But we'll double check what that was in just a second. But for popularity growth, there's a lot of movement actually, so that shows that the show was a success, and we did actually increase in popularity in the Mid-South as well, as you can see there with it being yellow, but it wasn't enough to take it up to 61, unfortunately. But it was enough to take the Great Lakes and Mid-Atlantic to 21, the Midwest to 31, New England to 17, the Northwest to 22, the Southeast to 34, the Southwest to 36, the Tri-State to 18, Puerto Rico and Hawaii to 15, the Maritimes and Quebec to 13, the rest and the Residente to 22, Centro to 12, all of the United Kingdom and Ireland up to 13, and fittingly, all of Australia up to 3 with that angle with Steph DeLander and Jessica Troy. But yeah, I'm really happy with that actually, considering that we've gone up in popularity and we made so much money. But I do still feel a little bit annoyed by those production penalties, but it is what it is, and I don't really have the money to make those upgrades just yet. And I think at some point I'm going to try and work out how much it will cost per month exactly to match NXT in terms of production, and I'll probably make a couple of upgrades or two before we get to Strong Style 60. But for now, let's go to the day after the show and see if there's any emails or news. And actually, hang on, we've got a media scrum for the first time. Okay, so with tonight's show complete, you have chosen to take part in a media scrum. You hired Kira recently. How do you see her fitting on the roster? So this is the first time I've ever done a media scrum in this game. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how it goes. So we've got a few options and I will go through all of them. So I have high hopes for her. So I'm getting behind her with a strong early push. No. She will have to work her way up the ladder. There's no free rides in Strong Style. We're going to play it by ear. We've got huge plans for her, so we expect her to feature heavily over the coming months. Or we have a very competitive roster, so it'll be down to how well she fits in and how hard she works. Yeah, I'm going to say that. Next up, we've got the same for Becky Quinn, and I'm actually going to say the same thing. All of the options remain the same anyway. And people are calling Strong Style 58 a success, but what's your view on the show? It was a huge success. The whole roster should be very proud. I'm delighted that it went so well. It was a good show, but we can still improve upwards and onwards. Honestly, it was okay, but I think we can still do better, or I was disappointed. I think we can put on much better shows. I'm going to say it was a good show, but we can still improve upwards and onwards. Okay, Miranda Elise was off her game tonight. How disappointed are you in her inconsistency? I have faith that it should become more consistent. I'm sure that was a one-off. It's a huge problem, which obviously it's not. If she doesn't address it, her career will suffer. Everyone has off nights from time to time. Give her a break. I'll say I have faith that she'll become more consistent. What's your thoughts on Anthony Siccioni, the CEO of TNA? I'm a little bit annoyed that he stole our heavyweight champion years ago, and I will never forgive him. Is that an option? I'm just going to say I really don't know him. I don't want to cause any sort of trouble. And the DPW owner James Darnell, CM Pulse, is the next subject of a question. And do you have any comments about him? Or he's a terrible guy? No, I'm going to say it seems from the outside that he's doing a good job, we'll say that. And your response pleased James Darnell, so big respect there, and the media scrum has been completed. So yeah, that was interesting, and as I say, the first time I've done that. And yeah, I'm not really sure what kind of questions you get, but it did seem a little bit repetitive, but we'll see, as I say, as we go forward, what kind of questions we get. But let's go to see if we've got any emails then. And we do have some interesting emails then. So we've got Tekla, gone from Strong Style. So is Nixon Newell, Masha Slamovich, Lei Ying Lee, Line Roman, Kira, Jessica Troy, Christy Janes, Becky Quinn, and B. Priestley as well. But of course, we will be signing Jessica Troy back on a short contract. So we're going to go with a written, I think it was a 3-month contract that we signed Steph DeLander on. So we're going to go with the same for Jessica. We're going to cover her travel from Australia, and she's happy without merchandise as well. So yeah, we'll go with that, and hopefully we can get that signed before the next show, which I'm sure we will, because it's in a couple of weeks. And actually, we do have the awards of the year so far, now that we're at the exact halfway point of 2029, and see if we're on course to picking any of the awards up at the end of the year. So we start off then with the male wrestler of the year so far. And currently the best wrestler in the world apparently is Christian Casanova, who is the current favourite to win Male Wrestler of the Year from the start of 2030. And yeah, Christian Casanova is of course Carmelo Hayes, and he is still in WWE and looks to have improved massively in terms of popularity, and yeah, this isn't the first time we've seen him in and amongst the awards. And actually, we'll go all the way down to Female Wrestler of the Year so far and see who's on track to win this one then. And it is Tiffany Stratton, who I believe has won the award before as well. And yeah, the now 30-year-old has impressed and now has 85 popularity across the United States and appears to have improved massively in the ring as well. Now let's go to Company of the Year, and of course WWE are currently top, and yeah, that has to be expected with their current position in the wrestling business. The Female Tag Team of the Year so far is Billy Starkz and Sky Blue, so the first time AEW have been seen in these awards. And then the Male Tag Team of the Year is the Young Bucks, again, an AEW tag team. And actually it says here that Matt Jackson is confirmed to be leaving AEW. So will that mean that we're going to see the Young Bucks split up? Let me just quickly check Nick as well. And he actually has a year left on his deal, so their contracts are currently out of sync. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Nick also leaves. But yeah, that's goodbye to Matt Jackson, at least for now, in AEW. But let's go to Match of the Year so far. And the current winner is Carmelo Hayes, so Male Wrestler of the Year there, defeating Ilya Dragunov at the Royal Rumble 2029 event. Show of the Year so far is that Royal Rumble as well. Female Young Wrestler of the Year is Billy Starkz, so back to AEW. And Male Young Wrestler of the Year so far is Leon Slater, who is currently in TNA on an exclusive deal. So the 24-year-old there, impressing and still rising in the industry. And Female Veteran Wrestler of the Year is Io Sky, who is still with WWE, and Male Veteran is Cody Rhodes, who again is with WWE. The Male Independent Wrestler of the Year so far is Hio, and he is with Dragon Gate and All Japan Pro Wrestling and is the reigning All Japan World Junior Heavyweight Champion, the Open the Twin Gate Champion as well, which I think is the tag division, the Open the Triangle Gate Champion as well, which I think is trios, and the Open the Awarai Gate, which I think is a regionalized championship in Dragon Gate. So yeah, he's got quite a lot of gold over in Dragon Gate and All Japan, and could be somebody that we could look at bringing in at some point as a junior, as of course being close with Dragon Gate. But we'll see how that goes, and maybe we can loan him in for an upcoming tour, maybe even the Strong Style Showdown. And yeah, I'll definitely consider his name, and he's still quite popular in the United States as well, so that could be an option. And then we go to Female Independent Wrestler of the Year so far, Chihiro Hashimoto. And yeah, she's actually really good and relatively over in the United States, and has 2 championships in Sendai Girls with the tag team and the world title to her name. That's all for that then, but what we need to check now is, actually I see one thing here that I want to look at, and that's the death of CMLL in Mexico. So actually the company hasn't folded, but it says that the vultures appear to be circling crisis-stricken CMLL, who looks set to release several talents in the near future. Insiders say that the company's recent decline in fortunes means they need to cut back on expensive wrestlers if they are able to survive, and the very top stars may be fired in the next week. Okay, so that could be a situation that we need to monitor, because there are a couple of people on the CMLL roster that I'd be interested in taking in. So the first is Persephone, who of course is in a relationship with Viana Free Jr. in-game and in real life, and we have tried to work with her before, but the CMLL schedule is way too much to be able to squeeze her into shows 5 times a week, and yeah, every show that we ever have clashes with a CMLL show. But if they were to release her, then maybe we could look at bringing her in on a full-time deal, ideally. And I'm sure there's some other names in this list that we'd be interested in as well. So we will track that, as I say. And if we take a look at the news, there has been some departures, but this looks like it's all the end of loans. And this could actually be beneficial for our partners Big Lucha as well, who are our official Mexican partners. And they are pushing for that top spot in Mexico, and with CMLL on the decline. And I think this story happens when you drop down in size, so they are now medium, and yeah, they're now just short of the 77 popularity in 5 Mexican regions to make it big. And yeah, maybe they'll bounce straight back, but we'll see how it goes, and it's definitely one to watch going forward. And what we need to look at now is, with it being the end of the month, And the start of a new month, actually, is last month's finances. So let's take a look for June 2029 then. And in terms of cash, we're now left with $2,280,000. And yeah, we're actually finishing a month for the first time above that 2 million mark. And we made a profit of $550,000, 834 change there, and that is slightly less than May, but it's also worth noting that we're now paying a lot of wrestlers written contracts per month, so you can see there the big difference between the worker costs. And yeah, had the worker costs been the same as last month, we would be in record profit. But that is good to see that we're still making $500,000 despite our brand new contracts, so we haven't put ourselves into any kind of losing situation when it comes to money. And yeah, show costs were more as well, because I think we're running bigger arenas more consistently now. Marketing was a little bit up as well, all for the same reason, and production as well was up after our recent increases in production values. So again, another thing that we thought would be really expensive has left us still in a profit, which is great to see. So we've managed to secure a lot of key talents to exclusive written contracts and managed to improve the quality of our shows as well, while still making $500,000 in the month. And yeah, that's great to see. And one thing I'm going to consider in this episode is continuing to either improve the production values of the show and to try and get us closer to that NXT standard, who we're now of course competing with and receiving penalties because we're not on par with, or do we kind of just sack off show ratings for now? Well, not sack them off, but not try and make them optimal, whilst instead increasing our network reach. So of course we've got the Strong Style YouTube channel. So if we go to investments and upgrade your own broadcaster, we still are running on the YouTube channel. And what I'm thinking is, because we don't necessarily need to increase in the Mid-South in our size, as we've touched on before, and I'm quite happy with it being at 60 for the foreseeable future until 4 other regions come close to matching it, would it make sense keeping the shows around where they are right now in terms of ratings, but increasing their reach so that we grow in those other regions faster? So if we were to upgrade in the United States, it would mean more people in the regions that we need to grow in would see the shows, and that would increase the speed that we're growing outside of the Mid-South. That's what I'm thinking. So we do need 5 regions to be at 77. So for now, I'm happy to have Mid-South sitting at 60, whilst the Midwest, Northwest, Southeast and Southwest all catch up, at which point we can then all grow them at the same time. Although it would be nice to have an increase in the Mid-South, because it would mean bigger attendances and more money. But again, it's not massively priority that we grow the Mid-South just yet. So do we upgrade our broadcaster one time, which would see bigger growth, as I say, elsewhere? And we would still be growing fast with the current show ratings that we're getting, even though we're not growing in the Mid-South. So, for example, 72 is more than enough to grow elsewhere outside of the Mid-South. So is a 68, so is a 72, and so is a 63, which is the ratings we got for the recent tour. So yeah, as I've ran through that and kind of weighed up the options, what I think we're going to do is actually go with that and upgrade our very small broadcaster to small in the United States. And with it being free as well, internet public, it will be more effective. So that's what we're going to go with, and increase this broadcaster and spend $990,000 to do so, which is 2 months worth of profit, so not too bad. And yeah, basically we're spending the money that we've made over the last 2 months, and we will make that back in no time. So let's go with that. And that means the upcoming Strong Style Showdown Tour will now be in front of more people than ever on our YouTube channel. And what we also need to do is move the Strong Style 59 event forward 1 month, because this month we're going to be running the first ever Strong Style Showdown event, which will see the tournament end on its own exclusive event and not one of our numbered events, with the next one now taking place in August. And may as well mention this, is instead of having a Strong Style Roulette event, I think I'm going to have a Strong Style Women's World Cup event and a Strong Style Showdown event to be the other 2 events that aren't the numbered events. So we still have the every 10th numbered event on the same month, with that being currently planned to be in September. So every September we'll have our every 10th event, and then we'll have the Showdown and the Women's World Cup finals as the other 2 events that we run on a major scale. And instead of the roulette being once a year, I'm actually thinking of having it twice a year and ending on 2 of those numbered events. And we'll probably have them every 6 months. One being immediately after the 10th event and one 6 months prior. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking schedule-wise, but we're going to play out the rest of this year as is scheduled. And what I'm going to do now is go away and finish off the plans for the upcoming Strong Style Showdown, and I'll be back before you know it. Right, so the plans are finalised for the Strong Style Showdown, which will be going down this month, and we're going to see an episode of Propaganda, then 3 nights of the Road to Strong Style Showdown, and then ultimately the Strong Style Showdown event, which used to be the Strong Style Showdown kickoff show. And in order to make this tour the best it can be, I have basically came to the conclusion in between kind of recordings that we're going to have to make some production upgrades. Now, I've been looking into the cost of how much this is going to be for every single step of every single production that we need to make, and I'm still looking for the button. There it is. Right, so we're currently on level 5 for production values, and what we need for basically, well, not basically, every single category within production is to maximize them out to be on par with NXT. Now, realistically, we know we're not going to be able to do this anytime soon, but I have been breaking down the cost of every level, so going from 2 to 5 for live event experience, 5 to 6 for broadcast quality, and 4 to 7 for music, and then the cost of every step in between. Now, what I've used is AI to help me out with this, and it's basically helped me work out the costs for each upgrade. So let me just try and find the right part of the conversation. So yeah, if we take a look at production values, I've basically worked out how much it would cost compared to how much it costs us now for this specific category. So we're currently spending $65,000 a month on high quality. If we were to go up to Majestic, it would cost an additional $360,000, which is totally unrealistic. And if we were to max it out and be on par with NXT, it would cost an additional $660,000. So for now, production value will remain where it is. But if we go to live event experience, you can actually see that to go up one level to medium from small, it would cost an additional $15,000. So it would go up to $25,000 compared to the $10,000 per month that we're spending on. So you can see here that this is charging us on a per show basis. So 5,000 times 5, and that's how it's worked it out. And there's no monthly cost for medium, but there is for professional. So if we were to go up to professional, it would be an additional $215,000. And if we were to go into the one between, it would be an additional $65,000. And if we go to broadcast quality, we've only got one level to go up, and this would cost an additional $75,000 because we'd be going up to $155,000 a month compared to the $75,000 a month that we're currently paying. Now, for music, this again is only a monthly cost, and to go up one level, it would cost an additional $15,000 a month, and then $40,000, and then $90,000. So there are some affordable upgrades that we can definitely make, and I'm thinking what I'm going to do is budget an additional $200,000 a month. Now, this would ensure that we're not cutting too much into our profits, which, as we know, have already been slashed this month anyway because of performance. But if we take a look at last month as an example, we made $550,000. So yeah, we're not even cutting into half of that if we were to make $200,000 worth of upgrades. So the easiest one to make at the minute would be live event experience. So we're going to do that first, and this will cost an additional $15,000 a month. So let's get that done, and we're going to pay $5,000 per night of shows instead of the previous $2,000. So we'll now employ a medium-sized live event crew, mixing professional team leaders with amateur helpers. They work to ensure the fans have the best live event experience possible, including collecting tickets, showing people to their seats, and answering questions. So let's do that. And we're going to leave that one on there for now, but I might make another upgrade in that department. But next up, let's go to broadcast quality, and we can actually max this one out with an additional $75,000 per month. So let's do that, and let's upgrade to level 6, and this would include a fee of $20,000. So the fee hasn't been included into the costs, only the monthly costs. But yeah, this is going to cost us $150,000 per month instead of $75,000, which we're paying now. And this will see us have an in-house crew using cutting-edge production equipment to shoot all our shows to exceptionally high quality. So I'm happy to make that one, and that means the additional costs that we've seen so far are $90,000. And we're not even halfway through that new $200,000 extra budget. Now, what else couldn't we do then? So we can actually upgrade music, and we could even go all the way and still be within budget here actually. So I think that's what we're going to do. So we're currently in-house and we make custom tracks for our wrestlers, but we're going to go all the way up to major licensed, which will be $100,000 per month with a $10,000 upgrade, but this is only $90,000 extra than what we're paying right now. And this means now that we have 2 of the production penalties now completely removed. And with live event experience as well, it is accumulative. So if you are 3 levels behind, say, NXT, which we were before, it would stack. So you would have 3 penalties within 1. But now we're only going to have 2 penalties as it stands. But we've spent $180,000 at the minute on upgrades extra per month. And if we were to go 1 more level in live event experience, it would actually be an additional $50,000 now because we've already made that one. So that would actually come to $230,000 extra a month on production. So what I think I'm going to do is consider going up 1 more in the next tour, which would then probably see us kind of sit where we're at for the meantime, and we'll stay there. But for now, for the showdown tour, I think we're going to stay at medium and for live event experience, and then large seems like the next plausible step for an upgrade. And then I think we're going to struggle getting to professional anytime soon, and definitely within production values it's probably not worth it right now. But I think that's where we're going to leave it then. So we're currently level 5 for production values and level 3 for live event experience, and 2 off where NXT are, and we're actually quite a bit ahead now of the competition outside of NXT, and better in TNA in many departments as well, which is great to see. So hopefully we won't see our show ratings affected too much, and we will see that come into effect on the next propaganda show, which will be a good example of how much the rating will be affected. So that's where we're at, but now what I want to do is bring in the touring talent for the upcoming tour. And we've got many names to sign for the Strong Style Showdown, so let's get to it. And I'm going to show you the name, break down their skills and popularity and attributes and stuff like that. And then I'm going to do the negotiations off screen, and when the negotiations are finished, I'll show you the final contract. So starting off then, we're going to go to the big Lucha roster, and we're going to take El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. back on loan, and he did appear for us recently during the Strong Style versus the World Tour, and he also appeared, I think, a couple of times after that as well, and earned himself at one point a Strong Style heavyweight title match, and he'll get that opportunity again when he enters the qualifier for the heavyweight bracket of the Strong Style Showdown. Now, I've done some testing and kind of worked out how much we're going to have to pay and how many appearances we can have him for. So it looks like the most we can get talent for from Big Lucha is 6 appearances, and I'm actually going to go and max that out, and we can use him potentially at some point going forward, because it doesn't cost extra to have him for more dates, and since we're going to be paying money, we may as well just get him for the maximum amount of time. And it will take $4,800 in order to persuade Big Lucha to loan him to us, and there's going to be no worker in return. This is because Big Lucha always work on Tuesdays, so that causes a clash with a couple of our shows. So he will be competing on the Wednesday Road to Strong Style Showdown Night 2 event, and that will be the same for the second Big Lucha loan that we're going to bring in. But let's get that done then, and before we actually do so, let's take a look at his skills. And he is really, really good on the game, and has really good stats across a lot of primary skills. So he's good in the air, he's a good technical wrestler as well, and he's good at Puro. So he basically meets everything that we need. He's got good charisma as well, great stamina and safety, and yeah, solid basics as well, and he's just really, really good. And he's got a driven personality, so he's not going to have any backstage impact really. He's got wrestling in the blood, of course, because of his father, Dr. Wagner Jr., and then I assume there's a grandfather in there as well. I'm not entirely sure of the lineage, but we do know that he's the son of a legend. So let's bring him in then, and he will be the first acquisition, and the second one will be the returning Zandokan Jr. Now, once again, somebody that is returning to the company, and he appeared during the Strong Style versus the World Tour at one point, and then he wrestled a few matches after that as well. So he will be returning, and I'm really a big fan of him at the minute. He's got 75 aerial, so he's great in the air. So you can see there, he's better as a heel. He's driven, so the same personality type as before. And in terms of popularity, he's over in the United States as well, so we shouldn't see any bad performances from him. And I actually have an idea for how he's going to be involved in a key storyline in the future. So yeah, if you've been following the series, you might be able to work out what he will be doing. But for now, we're going to bring him in for the maximum 6 appearances, no worker, and then I'll find the cash amount. It will cost us $6,300 for these 6 appearances, and that's Zandokan Jr. in the door once again. Now, next up, let's go to some actual contracts that won't be loans. And the reason we signed those 2 on loans is because they're exclusive talent, of course, with Big Lucha, but the rest of them that we're going to be signing aren't. So let's start off then with the heavyweight division and the debuting Claudio Castagnoli. Now, Claudio is, of course, great in the ring. He's a really good brawler with 85, and he's solid across the board for fundamentals, and he's got good mic skills as well on the game. He's got great popularity as well, 66 in the Mid-South specifically. He's a relaxed personality type, so there shouldn't be any issues. And he's also willing to lose as well, so he's easy to do business with. And he's got a lot of positive attributes, especially when it comes to his physicality. And he's also straight edge as well, so we shouldn't see any sort of drug issues. So yeah, we're going to be bringing him in on a touring contract to begin with. And I just think he's going to be a solid name to add some legitimacy to the Strong Style Showdown, and he will be competing in a qualifier for that. So let's speak to him, and we're going to apply our touring contract template, and once I've negotiated the contract, I'll show you where we are. So he will be coming in on a touring contract, as I say, and will leave after Strong Style Showdown, the main show, and we've agreed 30% of his merchandise without travel. So let's get that signed then. And next up, we're going to move on to another veteran talent, and even more of a veteran than Claudio Castagnoli, and that is the 60-year-old, I think the oldest wrestler that's ever worked for us, Minoru Suzuki. Now, as a bit of a spoiler, he will be competing in the qualifying round once again for the heavyweight division, and will be taking on Yuma Ayagi. So Minoru has 40 popularity in the Mid-South, whilst Yuma has just actually around the same now. It was a little bit below last time I checked before the last show, but it looks like it's gone up slightly. So yeah, he's just somebody within his kind of popularity range that he can beat and get the rub off, basically, and Minoru will put Yuma Ayagi over on the qualifying round to get Yuma into the main stage. And in terms of skills, he's actually quite solid for his age, and he does have the attributes of age is just a number, so he doesn't decline his skills as fast as normal. And yeah, as I say, he's quite popular in the region. So let's get this deal done, and I'll be back in just a second. So he will be coming in once again on a touring contract, and he won't be able to work on house shows, which he wouldn't be able to anyway with this type of contract, but he does only want to work ATV shows as well. But yeah, again, as long as he's got events, that's all that matters. We're covering his travel from Japan as well, and he's got 10% merchandise, so let's get that done. And move on now to a returning Chris Brooks, who we had recently during the Mayhem Tour, if you remember. And he has got 3 losses compared to 1 win, unfortunately for him. But we did find good chemistry with Roosh, so maybe that's something we can revisit once again for the 3rd time. But yeah, I was impressed by his performances, and if we look at his skills, you can see why he's really good fundamentally and primary skills. And he's got good acting as well, and good charisma and mic skills to back himself up on the mic as well. And also, he's a play-by-play guy, and he's got a little bit of booking skill as well. So maybe that's something that we can utilize on this tour, because we do have a spare spot on the booking team. So yeah, I think I'm going to experiment with that. And again, he's a people person, so he's going to be no issues backstage, and he loves the business, he's loyal, and he's just got a lot of kind of positive attributes, including tag team specialist if we ever needed to go down that route. And at 37 years old, he's still got a lot of time left in the business, and he will be having one more tour with us for the time being. We'll find the deal that he's happy with. And he wants 20% merchandise. He's got to have travel as well, because he does live in Japan as it stands. And yeah, we're going to bring in Chris Brooks once again. And now let's go back to big lucha talent this time, but somebody that's on a handshake deal with them and AAA as well in Mexico. And this is El Texano Jr., somebody that has been around for a long time now in the business, 30 years actually, and started when he was 14. And yeah, he's quite a big name in Mexico, and he's solid enough in the ring. And basically what I want to do is sign a heel from Big Lucha to work with El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. And this is somebody that is less popular than him, so somebody that can lose to him basically. And we're going to have basically a Big Lucha qualifying match in the heavyweight division. So So let's get him signed then, and we're going to offer a touring contract once again, and I'll find the numbers that fit him. Okay, so he does only want to work events, which is fine. He can't do house shows anyway. He's got 15% of merchandise and his travel is covered from Mexico. So let's get that made. And this time we're going to go to another debuting talent, and this time it's quite an interesting case with Cash Wheeler, who is now a singles wrestler. So he did leave AEW. It was in 2028, so it was actually only last year. But what did happen is Dax Harwood stayed with AEW. So that would obviously split up FTR, and Dax is now the holder of the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Television Championship as well. So he does have some singles gold under his belt and has very much kind of made a name for himself on his own. So what we're going to do is give Cash Wheeler the opportunity to do the same. You can see here he's pretty solid in the ring again, 76 brawling, great basics and solid fundamentals across the board. He's not so good in performance skills, but he is a driven personality type, so there'll be no issues there. One of the main reasons I've signed him is for his popularity and once again to help elevate our talent. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do at the minute, is systematically kind of take popularity from popular wrestlers and give it to our talent within reason. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do this time. And he will be coming in for the qualifying round of the Strong Style Showdown in the junior heavyweight division, interestingly, and he'll be taking on Shun Skywalker. So let's get him in then on a touring contract. And also another reason I've done this is because he's of course great friends with CM Punk. So this will give Punk a little bit of a morale boost, especially ahead of us signing another talent later on in this episode. So let's get the deal sorted then, and I'll come back in just a second. And yeah, we've had to cover his travel. He's got 30% of merchandise and he will be with us for the rest of the tour. So let's get that signed. And that's all for touring contracts then, but let's move on now to somebody that's hopefully going to be coming in on an exclusive deal. And that will be Roosh, who we have seen in the past once again. So another returning name. And you can see here that he was part of the Mayhem Tour and he really impressed actually, to the point where he had a Strong Style Junior Heavyweight Championship match against Kevin Blackwood. And he once again will be a big part of an ongoing storyline. And we're going to sign him on an exclusive contract for the next kind of 6 months is what I'm thinking. And we'll go from there. I don't want to commit to him for too long, just in case, because he is a mercenary. But yeah, he's easily marketable, so we hopefully should be able to make that money back that we spend on him. But he will be coming in to be part of the house show loop, which we're going to try and get going in the next sort of month or so. We need 12 wrestlers on exclusive contracts, and I think we're on 7 that have house show ticked. So yeah, let's negotiate with Roosh then. It needs to be per month, doesn't it? So yeah, we're going to go with 14,000 instead of 14,700, and hopefully that's acceptable for him. So we'll see. And he does want 14,470. So yeah, I'm happy to pay that, and let's get that done. He does want a higher merchandise cut as well. So yeah, he's happy with 25%. So let's make that offer then. And this isn't the only exclusive contract that we're going to be offering out, because now we're going to go back and bring somebody that we've had a on and off relationship with, and that is Pac, who will be returning once again. Now, we know Pac is unbelievable and is one of the best wrestlers we've ever had in the company, but the only issue is he doesn't like losing, and I don't know why, because he's not that popular, at least relative to the rest of our roster, but he seems to have an issue with it, and there's no attribute that says that he doesn't want to lose, unless it's a hidden one. I'm not entirely sure. What we're going to do is bring him in on an exclusive contract once again, which would mean we're competing with All Japan Pro Wrestling for his signature, but he is only there on a touring contract, so we shouldn't have too many issues there, although he is with Black Label Pro, where he is the heavyweight champion. But unfortunately, we need him, and he's going to have to drop that belt. So I'm going to put together, once again, a contract offer that he's happy with. Okay, so I have gone with a 3-month deal for now, and then we'll work from there. As we do know that, as I say, he's a great wrestler in the ring, but we might face some issues with him refusing to lose. But he will be coming on the house show loop for the next 3 months, and he wants 25% of merchandise and no travel, even though he lives in Japan, which is surprising. But yeah, let's make that offer. And actually, I think he's only in Japan for his current tour with All Japan, actually, so maybe he lives close enough. I think he might be in the southeast. So let's make that offer then, and he should hopefully be coming in, as I say, for the house shows. And the next 3 months, which will lead past the Strong Style 60 event. And the final contract that we're going to be offering out is going to go to the debuting, and if we can find him, Tyler Black, aka Seth Rollins. Now, of course, this channel is called Curb Stomp City for one reason, and that is because of this man. So I do feel it's fitting that we have Tyler Black come in to Strong Style Americas at some point. And what I'm hoping is eventually, after a solid run, he will be willing to do business with one of our rising stars and hopefully help transfer some of that popularity that he's got to them. Now, we're not going to bury him off the bat and just kind of leech off his popularity. We're going to use him to a good level, and then eventually that time will come. But as you can see, he does get really good performances. He's got 71 in his last match, and the match before that, he got 71 as well. So he's right up there in terms of ratings. And yeah, he will be part of the heavyweight division as a technical flyer. He's got the driven personality type, so there should be no issues there. But the only problem is, and you'll see it when we click negotiate, Matt Riddle has an issue with this, and also CM Punk has an issue with this. And that is the reason that I'm bringing in Cash Wheeler, is to kind of balance that out with CM Punk. And what I've found when we go into personal details is that there's a strong dislike of CM Punk from Seth Rollins and vice versa. Whereas, if you remember, we recently signed Kenny Omega, and if we go to CM Punk's personal details, you'll see that he has a strong dislike of Kenny Omega as well, and it didn't cause too many issues, so there's not massive heat between the two to a point where it's like deep hatred. So I'm hoping it won't be too much of an issue. And what I'm thinking as well is we might actually let Matt Riddle go in the near future in order to kind of get that heat out of the locker room. So yeah, that's kind of just where I'm at in terms of that. But we're going to offer him an exclusive deal, and it'll probably be similar to Pac's deal where it's 3 months to lead us to Strong Style 60, but we'll work out where we're at in just a second. Right, so there is a small problem with this offer. Now, we can either offer him $112,000 a month, and this would get him onto the house show circuit, or we could offer him per show money, but this would mean that he's not on the house show circuit, but he would be bumping up Kevin Blackwood's wages by about 3. I think he's on 2.3k, and anybody that comes in on a per show deal that earns more money than Kevin Blackwood will rise Kevin Blackwood's wages, because he's of course got the wage matching perk in his contracts. But what I'm thinking is it'll probably cost us less money if we have Kevin Blackwood's contract go up rather than paying, what would it be, well, over $300,000 over the next 3 months to Tyler Black. And I don't think we really need him on house shows. I think we've got enough kind of cheaper talent that we can lock down to exclusive contracts in order to get us up to that 12. So yeah, we're going to actually just go with the per show and just take the hit on Kevin Blackwood and just see it as a pay rise for him at the end of the day. So let's make this offer then. And due to his declining physical ability, he wouldn't have wanted to work house shows anyway, so that's fine. So we'll go with events and ATV shows only. And he wants travel as well, with him being in the Great Lakes. And working exclusively for you would mean I'd be losing opportunities elsewhere. Yeah, okay. Right, we're not going to go exclusive then. We're just going to go with written and hope that somebody doesn't come in and poach him like an AEW. I think if we get him signed now, he should at least be around for the Strong Style Showdown, because even if he signed the contract and then AEW came in the next day and offered an exclusive, he would have that 30-day period where he can still work for us. So yeah, we're going to do that, and hopefully we can see him at Strong Style 60. But for now, we're going to go with this offer and bring him in for the next 3 months on a written deal. So let's get that offer made then. And that will be all for signings for the Strong Style Showdown. So there's the list of names there if you want to take a look. And of course, Jessica Troy's on there as well. We've got Claudio, Minoru, Chris Brooks, Texano Jr., Cash Wheeler, Roosh, Pac, and Seth Rollins. And there is some more contract work that we need to do before we move on, and that concerns talent that are already with us. So let's go and take a look at that. Right, so we're going to start off with Eric Hammer, who has a contract that expires in, well, less than 1 month's time at this point. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of asking price he has, because his current contract is $50 per show. But since becoming champion of the heavyweight division, he's actually grown significantly in popularity. So he was down there in the mid-20s at one point, but has been very much on the rise since then, and is now at 51, so he's more than doubled his popularity in less than a year. So the world's most dangerous man will be receiving a new contract, as he is the current champion, of course. And you can see there, instead of $50, he wants $600. And what I'm actually going to do is get him onto the house show loop by offering him an exclusive written contract, and it will have to be per month. So he's asking for currently $11,400. And I think we're going to make it a 3-month deal, and then we'll kind of keep rolling and renewing it as or if his title reign continues. And hopefully he's willing to do all shows, including house shows. So let's continue, and he is willing to, so we're going to go with that then and offer that deal. And secondly, I want to offer a contract to Egil Blanc, who I see big things for. Whilst he has kind of been stuck in the lower mid-card and propaganda for quite a while, I do think if we look at his stats, he is so good and has great potential to increase his popularity with a good run. So we're going to try and lock him down onto an exclusive deal. And this is a bit of a project because he is currently unimportant, but he, as I say, is very talented. He's a professional behind the scenes, and I just see big things for Egil Blanc, the Frenchman, who is still only 30 years old in the game. And I want to give him a bit of a push. So in order to do that, we're going to offer him an exclusive contract, which would see him leave WXW and BZW, and hopefully we can get him to move to the United States to focus on his work here, and we're going to also get him onto the house show loop. So let's do an exclusive written and with a per month deal, and this is going to be one of the cheap ones, with it being $4,500 per month, and we're going to get him locked down for a year. So let's do that then and make this offer, and he is happy to accept under those terms. And also one thing I've done is gone in and slightly tweaked Alex Kane's exclusive written per month contract to include house shows. Now, I did do a poll on the community page about this and whether people would consider it cheating, and the vast majority of people are okay with me making this change. And I basically think it wouldn't have made a difference at the time if we had offered him house shows. It's not like he's aging or anything, and he would have been more than willing to work house shows had it been ticked. It was just an oversight from the template that we used for contracts. The written local to global contract, which does everything except house shows. And when I changed it to an exclusive, I forgot to put all shows onto the deal. And there are some people saying that we should give him a wage bump, and I would be willing to do that. And it's not exactly something that I've got an issue with financially, but I just don't want to edit too many things. So I kind of just want to leave that as it is and just go on as if we just offered house shows at the time. So he will be on the house show loop going forward, and currently as it stands we have 8 people on the house show loop. So you can see Alex Kane, Jordan Grace, LJ Cleary, Malachi Black, Marsha Von Erich, Mayu Iwatani, Miranda Elise and Shun Skywalker, and soon to be Egil Blanc, Eric Hammer, Pac and Roosh, and that will get us to the 12 that we need in order to run house shows. And I do want to offer some other contracts out to some of the other kind of lesser talent, potentially a Lavanuel or a Schaff or somebody along those lines, but we will kind of expand the house show roster as we go forward. But for now we're going to leave it at that, and what we're going to do then is go forward and see if there's any counter offers to the offers that we've made, and hopefully we can get all of these signings across the line ahead of the next episode, which will feature the Strong Style Showdown. So let's go forward. So the worst possible outcome of this contract session has just happened, and for some reason our contract offer, which was non-exclusive, has triggered a counter offer from AEW, despite Tyler Black being a free agent. And you can see it there, top of the news, AEW looking at Seth Rollins. A rumor has been circulating that AEW is seriously considering putting together an offer to try and bring Seth Rollins onto their roster. The move, which would represent a pretty serious coup for the company, could ignite a major bidding war. And I can confirm this is not just a rumor in the dirt sheets, but we do have an email confirming that AEW have made a contract offer to Seth Rollins. Their offer is 18 months, an exclusive written contract for $107,000 per month, a lot more than the $6,000 per show that we were offering him. So we are in the situation where we either battle for this contract and try and lock him down for a few years instead of the 3 months that we were originally going to bring him in for, or we just let him go to the land of All Elite and basically let go of the hottest free agent on the market and the most popular wrestler that we could possibly sign right now on a deal with us, outside of loans, of course. So what I'm going to do, instead of having this contract battle now, is save it for the next episode, and then I'm going to make a decision in between recordings as to what we're going to do and whether we just let him go. It is worth noting that this offer is only 18 months, so there is a potential that we could bring Seth Rollins to Curb Stomp City at some point in the future, but it looks like we either wait for the 18 months to expire and then come back in once we're in a better financial situation, or we spend some of the profit that we make per month. And we're expecting to make around $300,000 per month once we get through this month, of course, where we spent a lot of money on upgrades. But in terms of our general profit, we're going to be looking around that range, which does give us some room to maneuver. And could it be time to make that marquee signing a huge name and make them our top guy, as I say here on the channel, Curb Stomp City? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But for now, we do have a rival offer as well for Eagle Blanc, this time from WXW, and they have outbid us and have offered him a per month deal, $14,800 per month, which is more than our $4,500. So this does reflect his popularity in Europe. As you can see here, Central Europe, he's 57 popularity, and this has kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting them to offer a per month deal. I was thinking they would come back with a per show deal, which wouldn't be considered by him, as we've seen with BZW here, but apparently WXW are more than willing to put their money where their mouth is in terms of keeping Eagle Blanc the white eagle. But what we're going to do is actually battle them for this signature, because I'm more than happy to match them at least, and the offer that they've made. They have offered him 3 years, which would mean we either have to outbid them for wages or offer him a longer contract at a similar kind of money offer. But let's go through then and work out what we're going to do. So we are definitely going to match their merchandise cut, going up from 10% to 25%. And we're going to have to at least, I think, go to $15,000 per month to make this happen. So let's make that offer then and see what he says. And he said, I'll accept these terms, but I have a better offer. Now, I'm guessing that is due to the fact that their offer is 3 years. So do we commit long term to Eagle Blanc and really make him a future project for this company? Let's try 3 years and see what he says. I'd accept these terms, and it would be one of the offers that I'd seriously consider. Now, I'd of course rather be the only company he's considering, so we will try and make some amendments to the offer, and we're going to actually go to $15,500 per month and see what he says then. I'd accept these terms and seriously consider signing unless a better offer comes my way. So for now, we are the favourite to sign him, so we're going to leave that there, and then we can also see that there isn't any serious offers for the other talent that we've made contract offers to. So you can see here there is a rival bid for Pac, but that is a per show deal, and their offer apparently actually is seriously being considered. Okay, so let's take a look at this one then. Again, it might be an issue with the length. So we're only offering a 3-month deal, and yeah, he has a better offer elsewhere. So maybe with Pac, we should have just offered a touring deal, I suspect. But we're here now and we want to keep him around. And yeah, as I say, I did think that he would choose us over them. How long's their deal again? So they're offering an ongoing contract. So would 6 months make it a better offer? I'd accept these terms and seriously consider signing for you unless a better offer comes my way. So we will be seeing Pac stay with us then for the next 6 months beyond Strong Style 60. So that might make me slightly alter his plans, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the Black Label Pro Heavyweight Champion, for now, we'll be leaving them and coming to us on a full-time basis for the next 6 months. But in the next episode, we'll find out if both Eagle Blanc and Pac are issued counter offers to rival our latest bids, and we'll also see what the future holds for Tyler Black, aka Seth Rollins, who could potentially become our next top guy if we go all out and try and battle AEW for his signature. But it will be an expensive one, so make sure you stick around to find out what happens there, and let me know what you think, whether it's worth going all out, as I say, to get Tyler Black as the face of Strong Style Americas. And if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like down below, and it really helps me out and pushes the video out to brand new people. And make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss the next episode. And make sure you head over to the Patreon as well, where you can get exclusive content. But until next time, peace.